In this tutorial, I want to show you how you can make a single pivot table from two different tables or two different tabs of data in Microsoft Excel. So to do this, we're going to use Power Query. Now, before I get started in this process, I want to make a comment that it's helpful if your two data are similar as possible. So this data, I'm using a sample data, has the exact same columns for A through the end of it, A through Q. But as I said, the more similar the columns of your data are, the better. And if possible, reorganize your columns or rename your columns to make sure they're as similar as possible, because we're going to ultimately be getting these two tables and stacking them one on top of the other to make the pivot table. So that said, you're going to want to go to the Data tab. From here, you're going to want to click on Get Data. And we want to launch a Power Query Editor to get our data. Now, as you can see, our queries are 0 and it is blank. Well, we want to go ahead and get our data inside of here to make the pivot table. So we go to the Home tab and we want to click on View Source to get our data inside of here. And we're going to get this from an Excel file. So we need to go hover over File and click on Excel Workbook. And now we want to navigate over to the workbook that we are in right now, which is called Car Electric Data. And you're going to import this data like so. Give it a second for it to load, and we want to go ahead and then click on the first table that we want to import. So we click on this table, we click this tab, we click OK, and now we have our data in here. And you're going to repeat the same process, but for our other table or tab. So we're going to click on View Source, or File, Excel Workbook, and we want to go ahead and get it from the same data source, called electric car data. But instead of importing the battery electric vehicle, we want to import plug-in hybrid vehicle. Okay. Give it a second for it to load. As you can see, now these two different tabs have loaded as two different queries in our Power Query Editor. And from here, we want to go ahead and combine these two queries into one. Ideally, stack in this instance, because the columns are the same, we're going to stack one on top of the other using a append query, but you can also use merge query to do the same thing if you're trying to kind of combine two tables into one using a left join or right join type of logic. So this instance, we're going to use append query to stack one on top of the other. We're going to click on append query, and I want to append these queries to something new, just that way I'm being as clear as possible with the data that I'm using. So click on append queries as new, and here we can click on the two tables I want to append, one on top of the other. Now, if we have more tables than just two of them, we can use 3 more tables, but in this instance, I only have 2 tables, so we click on 2 tables. We want to get the battery electric vehicle as the first table, and the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle as the second table. We're going to click OK, and here, I create a new table called append 1, or we can double click on this to name as the summary table. And now that we have our data in one single table, we can load this as a pivot table in our Excel sheet by clicking on Close and Load with this little drop down right here. We want to close and load to, click on Close and Load to. But we want to insert it as not a table but a pivot table report in a new worksheet. So boom. Give it a second for it to load. One thing to note is that Power Query, if you're doing this kind of operation, can be a lot of data, especially if you're combining 2 tables into one. As you can see it loading onto the right. And if you're working with a ton of data, Excel might not be able to handle it. So doing this kind of thing in Power BI can make it a little more efficient. But from here, as you can see, now we have a couple different tables in our Excel sheet. We have the battery electric vehicles table, the plug-in hybrid table, and our summary table. Now, here I want to go ahead and make my pivot table based on a summary table, because that considers the 2 tables above. But there's not a relationship between these 2 tables other than the merging, so using the summary table would just be easiest. And here, for example, I want to click on electric vehicle type in the rows, And as you can see, it pulls in from both table, and I want to click on, I don't know, the count of, I want to click on, what do I want to click on? Of course, you can click on however you want to, the count of different models, for example. As you can see, the Judge vehicle had that many models. The plug-in hybrid had fewer of them. And of course, there are duplicates in the data. I might want to click on the model year in the columns, and so on and so forth, or switch the columns and the rows to get something that's a little bit might be potentially be more useful. I said, of course, none of this in pivot table. You're going to have to mess around with it to get it to how you want it to be. But the point is that now we have it in a pivot table, so we can work with the data in a way that considers both sources. As I said, I hope you found this to be helpful. If you did, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you for watching. You have a great day.